Ashley Judd, stupid fucking slut.
Hello everybody, I'm some loudmouth on the internet with an opinion. What you just saw was a clip from the lovely Ashley Judd, who recently gave a TED Talk on the issue of online harassment. Online harassment is an issue that is much talked about today's cyber-digital world, but I think Ashley Judd really misses the mark on certain things, and later in this video she makes quite a few unsubstantiated attacks on both the gaming industry and internet culture in general, and I felt it deserved a response. So here's my response to Ashley Judd's screed on online harassment.
I wish Ashley Judd would die a horrible death. She is the absolute worst. Ashley Judd, you're the reason women shouldn't vote.
She basically starts off the video by reading various mean tweets she's got that she considers to be harassment.
Online misogyny is a global gender rights tragedy, and it is imperative that it ends. Girls' and women's voices and our allies' voices are constrained in ways that are personally, economically, professionally, and politically damaged. And when we curb abuse, we will expand freedom.
I am absolutely going to agree that the most of those tweets absolutely cross the line. Any man who would send things like that to a woman he's never met before, I personally would have a very low opinion of. But what does Ashley Judd exactly mean when she says when we curb abuse, we expand freedom? It's obviously people's freedom and freedom of speech that allows them to say mean things online. All right, curbing such speech would not in any way, shape, or form expand freedom.
It is routine for me to be treated in the ways I've already described to you. It happens to me every single day on social media platforms such as Twitter and Facebook.
That's because you are a public figure, Miss Judge, and as a public figure, you have achieved fame and fortune that millions and millions of other people in the world, both men and women, dream about. But there are downsides to being a public figure. Obviously, you will have attention, and particularly from unsavory individuals, that the vast majority of the population probably wouldn't get if their names aren't generally known in the public. But the decision to become one was your own. If you didn't want this kind of attention, you could have pursued a different career in life. You could have became a clerk, or you could have just gone into the hard sciences and became like a computer programmer or a chemist. There were so many other paths you could have taken that would lead to you having far less negative attention to yourself online. But I'm willing to bet that the benefits of being a famous movie star, of being a public figure, far outweigh them.
Because even I, an avowed, self-declared feminist who worships at the altar of Gloria, internalized the patriarchy. This is really critical. Patriarchy is not boys and men. It is a system in which we all participate, including me.
That's quite a stretch, Miss Judge. All you've managed to provide evidence for anything in this video is that you got a few mean tweets online. How is that evidence that we live in a patriarchy that systematically oppresses women? A Pew Research study on online harassment found that men are actually more likely to be harassed than women are. For example, I myself have had tons of mean and nasty things said to me online over the years, and I am not nearly as well known as you, Miss Judge. Yes, the internet is absolutely crawling with unsavory individuals who use online anonymity as a tool to harass and hurt others, but this is not a gendered issue. It is a problem both men and women will face if they put themselves online.
So I have all these resources that I'm keenly aware so many people in the world do not. I was able to start the Speech Project with colleagues. I can often get a social media company's attention. I have a wonderful visit to Facebook HQ coming up.
And that has me very concerned. It's quite obvious that Ashley Judd and people like her believe that big social media networks are not doing enough to monitor their users and possibly silence their users if they step out of line. I'm a big believer in free speech, and I see a very Orwellian mindset to that kind of thinking. Particularly since big social media sites such as Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter already provide all the resources necessary to block anyone they want for any reason they want. In fact, many in the feminist movement have become really damn good at it, Miss Judge. Have you ever noticed that women on the political right are far, far less likely to give lectures and whine about hateful comments they've received online? And I assure you, it is absolutely not because women on the political right are any less likely to receive harassing or disgusting tweets than women on the left. While I don't presume to speak for any of them, I believe the reason why this is because women on the right are far more likely to understand that having to read or listen to the speech of unsavory, unpleasant individuals is the price of free speech. And the benefits that free speech has to an open society far outweigh the downsides.
I actually pay someone to scrub my social media feeds, attempting to spare my brain the daily iterations of the trauma of hate speech. And guess what? I get hate speech for that. Oh, you live in an echo chamber. Well, guess what? Having someone post a photograph of me with my mouth open saying they can't wait to come on my face, I have a right to set that boundary.
Miss Judge, if you actually want to pay somebody your money in order to look through your social media feeds before you do, in order to scrub your profile of any mean comments, that's your right. It's your money. But is that really something you want to do with your money? I mean, it's not like there's any starving children in the world or anything like that. So if you want to pay somebody to protect your precious fifis, go right ahead. I mean, come on, if you were to give the money to charity, they just probably waste it on something stupid like poor people. Pfft.
There are a lot of solutions, thank goodness. I'm going to offer just a few, and of course, I challenge you to create and contribute your own. Number one, we have to start with digital media literacy, and clearly it must have a gendered lens. Kids, schools, caregivers, parents, it's essential.
Why, Miss Judge? Why does it need to be taught through a gendered lens? How is tweeting or commenting to a young boy to kill himself any less of a problem than tweeting or commenting at a young girl to kill herself? Children should be taught to respect each other both online and offline. It does not need to be taught to them through a gendered lens.
Two, shall we talk about our friends in tech? Said with dignity and respect, the sexism in your workplaces must end.
What misogyny in the tech industry? The only thing you've provided in this video, and the only thing you will provide in this video as evidence of anything, is that you got some nasty comments and that people in general get nasty comments online from anonymous web trolls. How is that in any way, shape, or form evidence of rampant misogyny and sexism in the tech industry? That is a borderline malicious accusation to levy against the many thousands of people who work in the tech industry.
Enough excuses. Only when women have critical mass in every department at your companies, including building platforms from the ground up, will the conversations about priorities and solutions change.
Again, you provide absolutely not one shred of evidence whatsoever that any kind of forces are keeping women out of the tech industry. The reason why there are fewer women than men in the tech industry is because women on their own free will are less likely to join STEM fields that would get them those kind of jobs. Now, if you want to change the gender makeup of the tech industry by encouraging more women to get into such fields, I might be all for that. As a matter of fact, more women should be encouraged to join these industries as they're better paying and probably would provide more life satisfaction. But slandering the whole tech industry as a bunch of sexist because currently there are more men than women in these fields is an outrageous claim.
And more love for my friends in tech. Profiteering off misogyny in video games must end. I'm so tired of hearing you talk to me at cocktail parties, like you did a couple weeks ago in Aspen, about how deplorable #Gamergate was when you're still making billions of dollars off games that maim and dump women for sport. Basta.
And here she levels particularly vicious accusations against the video game industry and video game developers in particular that are extremely hypocritical coming from this woman. Hey, Miss Judd, how about the money you profited from all the ultra-violent movies you have starred in, you complete hypocrite? You control wealth probably higher than 99.999% of the Earth's population, oftentimes from appearing in movies that are quite violent. And you have the nerve to accuse video game developers and video game players of encouraging violence against women because some games are violent. You are an absolute disgrace.
In our country, more girls and women have been murdered by their intimate partners than died on 9/11 and have died since in Afghanistan and Iraq combined. And it's not cool to say that, but it is true. We care so much geopolitically about what men are doing over there to women over there. In 2015, 72,828 women used intimate partner violence services in this country. That is not counting the girls and women and boys who needed them.
Yes, and do you notice that countries like the United States, Western nations, have intimate partner services? Whereas all those third world countries, who we shouldn't be focusing on because according to you we have just the same problems here, don't have such services. As a matter of fact, it is perfectly legal to beat your wives and to keep women as sex slaves in ISIS-controlled territory. Meanwhile, here in the United States, men who engage in violence against their intimate partners are criminally prosecuted, as they should be.
Law enforcement must be empowered with up-to-date internet technology, the devices, and an understanding of these platforms, how they work. The police wanted to be helpful when Amanda Hess called about the death threat she was getting on Twitter, but they couldn't really when they said, "What's Twitter?"
Making actual death threats online is already a criminally prosecutable crime. Are there branches in law enforcement and individuals in law enforcement who don't do their jobs in enforcing it? Yeah, possibly, and I actually kind of agree that's something that could improve, but the notion that there's no laws in the books that prevent such things is simply not true.
So apparently, I've got a pretty bold voice. So let's talk about our friends, white men. You have a role to play and a choice to make. You can do something, or you can do nothing. We're cool in this room, but when this goes out, everyone will say, "Oh my God, she's a reverse racist."
There's no such thing as reverse racism. It's only racism. And yes, that was a racist statement. Men of all different races, as well as women of all different races, have engaged in online harassment in the past. And I fail to see why white men, among any other racial or gender demographic, would be any more responsible for their behavior than anyone else. And she ends her talk with a little self-affirming lecture that comes across like something written for preschoolers.
My mama loves me.
Yes, she does.
I did a great job with my talk.
Yes, you did.
I have a right to be here.
Yes, you do.
I'm really cute.
Thank you, Miss Judge. Well, that was Ashley Judd's recent TED Talk, and it's quite clear that Ashley Judd has not one clue how to solve the issue of online harassment. Instead, as a feminist ideologue, she sees everything through a gendered lens, even if it's clearly issues that affect both genders nearly equally, or in some cases, men even more so. Yet her ideology always interprets this as a gendered problem that affects women exclusively. And even beyond that, she goes into horribly slanderous things to say about gamers and people in the tech industry, and she offers absolutely no real solutions to the problems she outlines. And frankly, it is quite obvious that the solution she wants when she talks about meeting with social media platforms is nothing short of censorship. And that is something that everyone who believes in freedom should resist. And this should come as a shock to absolutely nobody, but you can't tell her how she's wrong in the comments section of the video, because the comments have been disabled. TED, ideas worth spreading. Ha! I'm some loudmouth on the internet. You just heard my opinion.
My mama loves me.
Yes, she does.
I did a great job with my talk.
Yes, you did.
I have a right to be here.